Good evening, everybody. Good evening, guys. Good evening, Priyanka. Good evening, Janvi Balari, Sneha, Disha. Good evening, everybody. Janvi Balari students and other people. Okay. Well, let me resume my screen sharing. Then I'll be starting the class. Okay. Hopefully, I'm clearly audible and my screen is clearly visible to everybody. I'm launching poll for the technical checkup. If you can hear me properly and if my screen is visible to you, click on yes option. If you can hear me properly and if my screen is visible to you, click on yes option. Good evening. Click on yes option if you can hear me. Well, I'm assuming that I'm clearly audible and my screen is clearly visible. Now we can start the class, right? Great. Before we should start the class, let me know if you have, let me know if you have any kind of doubt from the previous classes in this particular chapter, human health and disease. Okay. Well, so just let me know in the chat box if you have any kind of doubt. Great. Great, guys. Okay. Then what we are doing, like in the previous class in human health and disease, we are done with the acquired immunity or acquired immune response. In that we talk about the different types of antibody, structure of the antibody, right? And how many types of antibodies are there. Okay. Now let me move to the next slide. Okay. And there we'll be talking about the here. This particular slide is presenting you how the antibody will be reacting with the antigen. We'll come to this slide. Okay. Don't worry about this one. We'll come to this particular slide. Okay. Before starting the class, let us solve a few questions. This topic we need to cover today, that is types of acquired immunity, that is already done. Anyway, we'll look into the types of acquired immunity today. Okay, then we'll talk about the vaccine, immunization, and the lymphoid organs, where the immunity is developing, where the immune action is happening. That is your lymphoid organs, primary lymphoid organs, secondary lymphoid organs. We'll be talking about thymus, spleen, malt, bone marrow, and other things. Right? What is immunization? What is vaccination? Vaccination is a current topic. If you are talking about COVID-19, वैक्सीन के बारे में जानना जरूरी है उसके हिसाब से देखें तो. Okay, then fine. ये क्वेश्चन तो हो गया था प्रीवियस क्लास में. ये क्वेश्चन को करके देखते हैं एक बार. Anyway, ये क्वेश्चन भी शायद हुआ था, फिर भी देख लेते हैं. Ascariasis is caused by option A, Ascaris lumbricoides, option B, W. bancrofti, that is Wichereria bancrofti, option C, Plasmodium, option D, none of the above. I'm launching poll for the question and I'm assuming that you can answer to the question very easily. It's a very simple question, right? Perfect. JNB Balari ekdam sahi. Awesome. Very good. 66% people have chosen their answer so far. What about remaining people? 20 seconds gone. Last 40 seconds remaining. Perfect. JNB Darwar, that's all. That's correct. Okay. Okay. Answer me. Answer to the question. Great. 1 second, guys. Okay, 1 second. I'm checking whether I'm live on YouTube or not. 1 second. Then we'll continue. Okay, the time is ending. Correct. Darshan from YouTube. Darshan ekdam sahi from YouTube. Darshan is on YouTube and he has answered. That's perfectly. Okay. Great. So I'm ending the poll now. and I'll be sharing the result with you people. The result is very common. Everyone have chosen option A, no one have chosen option B, C, and D. Let me stop sharing and I'll explain it to you. Okay, that's a great thing that everyone has answered correctly. Okay, and the correct answer is your option A, that is Ascaris lumbricoides. Now, my next question is about this particular ascariasis, right? When ascariasis affect our body, right? Which particular part of our body is generally get affected, and which age group of people are generally affected by ascariasis? Which age group of people are found affected by ascariasis in general? Okay, सब तो होते हैं affected, सबको ही हो सकता है, लेकिन in general कौन सा group रहता है? Okay, and the second question is which part of our body mainly get affected? Where do this Ascaris lumbricoids survive in our body? Yes, any answer? Let me know in the chat box. Okay. I'm not getting any answer. Hello, Akshita, you are late. Great. So if you are talking about ascariasis, anyway, ascariasis is a disease, and the ascaris, it is caused by Ascaris lumbricoids, and the Ascaris lumbricoids is a causative agent or pathogen which generally live in soil, जो कि soil में रहता है. Okay, it lays egg, ये egg lay करता है, it lays egg. One Ascaris lumbricoids can lay eggs up to 2 lakhs. एक Ascaris lumbricoids 2 lakhs तक का egg lay कर सकता है. Okay, so what happens, it generally affect the kids, जो छोटे छोटे बच्चे होते हैं, kids को ही affect करता है. Why? Because kids, what they do, they generally play in the soil. धूल मिट्टी में उन लोग खेलते हैं. They will be playing in the soil, right? Clay soil में उन लोग खेलते हैं. And without washing their hand properly, they have their meal, right? So through that particular unwashed hand, now this Ascaris lumbricoids or the egg laid by the Ascaris lumbricoids will enter into the intestine, and in intestine, one Ascaris lumbricoids will get proper environment, and with good availability of food and proper environment, it will now start a reproduction, and it will lay, one Ascaris lumbricoids can lay up to 2 lakhs of egg. 2 lakhs egg lay कर सकता है एक Ascaris lumbricoids. Just think about if there will be 10 Ascaris lumbricoids. Consider this one, एक Ascaris lumbricoids अपने बॉडी के अंदर एंटर किया, 2 lakhs egg ले किया, आउट ऑफ 2 lakhs only 100 सर्वाइव किए. कंसिडर ये सिचुएशन हुआ कि only and only how many survived? 100 survived, right? Now this 100 भी हटा दो यार, कोई भी कंडीशन आ गया 100 में से, कंसिडर की 10 ही सर्वाइव किए. Now 10 Ascaris lumbricoids, they will be laying egg, 2 lakhs egg each. 10 Ascaris lumbricoids, 10 Ascaris lumbricoids, 2 lakhs each. It means 20 lakhs of egg will be produced, and if they will be hatching out, then a vast number of Ascaris lumbricoids will be accumulating in our body. A vast number of Ascaris lumbricoids will be accumulating in our body, and because their number will increase in huge quantity, in huge number, right? So what they will do, they will not restricted within the intestine, or they will not be restricted within the gastrointestinal tract. When their number increases, they also migrate to the other internal organs, like our heart में भी वो infection करा सकते हैं, heart में भी migrate कर सकते हैं, but mainly gastrointestinal tract जो होता है वो affected होता है. They also can migrate to the respiratory tract. They also can migrate. Sometimes Ascaris lumbricoids also migrate into the eye. eye में भी migrate कर जाता है. White color का होता है, एकदम fine होता है. eye का जो white region है ना, उसी region पे जाकर के रहेगा. And you cannot find कि ये Ascaris lumbricoids है बोल के. लेटर ऑन जब उसको निकाल के देखोगे तो लंबा सा होगा, बड़ा सा। हेलो नंदीस, यू आर लेट बाय 15 minutes almost. Okay, well, so this is all about this one. Now we'll be talking about the antigen antibody reaction. Antigen antibody reaction. Antibody was produced by a plasma B cell. One second. Mosquito is there. I've got the mosquito now. Anyway, so plasma B cell is there, and this particular plasma B cell will be synthesizing antibody against the antigen or the pathogen, and the antibody is very much specific. Now, how the antibody will be working against the antigen? That is a question. So, antigen antibody reaction takes place in several steps. Antigen antibody reaction several step में ये होता है. First one is agglutination, second one is opsonization, third one is precipitation, fourth one is neutralization, and fifth one is lysis. What happens in agglutination? That particular antibody goes and get either to the surface of the antigen. Antigen के surface के साथ जाकर के attach हो जाएगा. ठीक है, दैट इज योर एग्लूटिनेशन. ओके, सबसे पहले तो ये आइडेंटिफाई करेगा, एग्लूटिनेशन में ये आइडेंटिफाई करेगा. नॉट एग्जैक्टली एदर तो नहीं बोलेंगे, इसको क्या बोलेंगे? इट विल आइडेंटिफाई द एंटीजन. वन सेकेंड. आइडेंटिफाई द एंटीजन. इन ऑप्सोनाइजेशन इट विल गेट एदर टू द एंटीजन. एंटीजन के साथ एदरिंग हो जाएगा. मतलब सपोज दिस इज द एंटीजन, एंटीबॉडी आकर के इसके चारों तरफ, एंटीबॉडी विल कम एंड वन सेकेंड कम एंड बाइंड ऑल अराउंड इट्स सरफेस. वाई शेप का होगा, इसके चारों तरफ ऐसे लग जाएंगे. दैट इज ऑप्सोनाइजेशन, राइट? आफ्टर दे गेट बाउंड टू दिस पर्टिकुलर एंटीजन, एंटीजन के साथ जब ये आकर के बाइंड कर जाएंगे, नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? द मोलेक्युलर वेट ऑफ द एंटीजन, एंटीजन का जो मोलेक्युलर वेट है, एंटीजन का जो मोलेक्युलर वेट है वो क्या करेगा? वो अभी इंक्रीज कर जाएगा. एज द एंटीबॉडी गोज एंड बाइंड टू द एंटीजन सरफेस, नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? मोलेक्युलर वेट ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर एंटीजन एंटीबॉडी कॉम्प्लेक्स, मोलेक्युलर वेट ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर एंटीजन एंटीबॉडी कॉम्प्लेक्स एजी एबी कॉम्प्लेक्स विल इंक्रीज. ये हाइक कर जाएगा. व्हेन इट विल गेट इंक्रीज, देन there will be less chance of its movement. एंटीजन का मूवमेंट अच्छे से नहीं हो पाएगा, and antigen will stop its movement or it will show a slow movement. That is called as your precipitation. Movement अभी क्या हो गया? Movement will get slow, or I can say it will get settled down. अभी अच्छे से मूवमेंट नहीं होगा, आगे रिएक्शन नहीं कर पाएगा और सेटल हो जाएगा. That is your neutralization. Once it gets settled, neutralization will happen. Neutralization means antigen will not that much effective now. अभी एंटीजन उतना इफेक्टिव नहीं होगा, राइट? क्योंकि अभी एंटीजन का जो रिएक्शन था, एंटीजन का जो पावर था, वो एंटीबॉडी के अटैच होने की वजह से वो न्यूट्रल हो गया है, पावर रिड्यूस हो गया. दैट इज न्यूट्रलाइजेशन. नाउ व्हेन द एंटीजन, सॉरी, when antibody get attached to the antigen, right? When antibody get attached to the antigen, at that time what happen? Antigen का power reduce हो गया, that is neutralization. And after when it get neutralized, then what will happen? The macrophages, neutrophils, and other phagocytic cell, they will come and eat this particular antigen antibody complex, and then they will break the antigen. That is your lysis. So what will happen now? This is your antigen. Okay, this is your antigen, right? Around the antigen, antibody will come and bind. I'm just trying to explain you by a in a story telling method. Story के हिसाब से मैं समझाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ इसको, ठीक है? Exactly ऐसा नहीं होगा, but story के हिसाब से मैं समझाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. This is how it will happen. So now what will happen? The macrophages, they will come. These are the macrophages. They will come and they will engulf. Macrophages, they will engulf. अभी macrophages आए phagocytic cell, macrophages, that is your neutrophils, basophils, they will come and they will engulf this particular antigen antibody complex. इसको अभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे, engulf कर लेंगे, मतलब next stage में this particular antigen antibody complex will be engulfed by the macrophages. By the macrophages. Is that clear to everybody? Right? Okay, so macrophages will be engulfing it. इसको खा गया अभी completely. और अभी देखो macrophages अभी इसको kill कर सकता है. How? Because the power of this particular क्या हुआ है, अभी इसका जो पावर है ना, एंटीजन का पावर रिड्यूस हो गया है. That is why you can simply kill. अभी इसका kill कर देगा और इसको destroy कर देगा. That's it. Destruction हो जाएगा. So this is how antigen antibody reaction happens. I hope this is clear to everybody. If it is clear to everyone, take a screenshot, try to note the things. इसको kill करने के बाद इसको break कर दिया, right? Take a screenshot or try to make a note of this particular thing, and after noting it down, click on yes option. Nandis, Lisa, Janvi Darwad, Janvi Balari, and Akshita. Great. Okay. Akshita ने click किया. What about Janvi Balari and Janvi Darwad? Is this clear to you? Have you noted the things? Darwad, Balari. If you have noted, respond me in the chat box or click on yes option. If you have not noted, then also respond me. Like if you have not noted so far, then click on no option. That's it. But anyhow, anyway, like you have to respond. Janvi Balari, Janvi Darwad. Have you noted the things? Yes or no? Okay, okay, okay. Okay, then fine. Well, I'm moving to the next slide now. Okay, दर्शन का हो गया. YouTube से दर्शन ने yes बता दिया. चलो अभी आगे बढ़ते हैं. Next will be your different types of immunity. Different types of immunity के बारे में बात करेंगे अभी. That is acquired immunity. Different types of acquired immunity. If you are talking about different types of acquired immunity again can be of different like many types in the sense like either it can be active or it can be passive. Active means when we gain the immunity during our lifetime. अपने lifetime में immunity हम लोग gain करते हैं, but okay, but there is a difference. अभी देखो acquired immunity मतलब lifetime में acquire करते हैं, but active and passive में difference क्या है? Active means when what happens, like our body is getting affected by a disease and at that time our body is developing some immunity. That is your active immunity. So when our body is getting affected by a disease and then the body will be preparing the antibody, self-prepared antibody, self-prepared antibody जब बनेगा तो उसको कहा जाएगा एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी. अपना बॉडी खुद से प्रिपेयर करेगा एंटीबॉडी, दैट इज एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी, राइट. नेक्स्ट वन इज योर पैसिव इम्यूनिटी. व्हेन द प्रिपेयर्ड एंटीबॉडी विल बी गिवन टू आवर बॉडी, व्हेन प्रिपेयर्ड एंटीबॉडी is given to our body, that is called as your passive immunity, and that time when we develop the immunity, that is called as your passive immunity. When prepared antibody is given to our body and the body will be developing an immunity, that is called as your passive immunity. Now the question will arise, sir, how it is happening? We are acquiring this in our lifetime. One is our body, when it comes in contact with the pathogen, it is preparing it by own, like itself, self-prepare antibody hoga. Second one is, in second case, that is your passive, where prepared antibody from outside will be given in our body. That is passive immunity. Is that clear to everybody? Now, simple example लेते हैं. In active immunity, suppose you are affected by chicken pox. तुमको क्या हो गया? Chicken pox हो गया. Is there any medicine to treat chicken pox? Guys, इग्नोर द वैक्सीन वाला पार्ट, वैक्सीन को इग्नोर कर लो। सपोज तुमको चिकन पॉक्स हुआ, वैक्सीन को इग्नोर करो, ठीक है। अभी मैं पूछ रहा हूं तुमको अगर चिकन पॉक्स हुआ, सो is there any medicine to treat chicken pox? Let me know in the chat box. Do you know the name of any medicine which can treat chicken pox? Do you know? Anybody? Can anybody answer me in the chat box? All right? Or just ignore the chicken pox. No. Okay. Chicken pox को ignore कर देते हैं, हम लोग लेते हैं common cold. Even though you take medicine for common cold lasts for minimum 7 days. It means any medicine we are taking for common cold, that medicine is only reducing the symptoms, or we can say complications that is developed due to the symptoms. वो complications को बस ये reduce कर रहा है common cold. कॉमन कोल्ड के लिए जो मेडिसिन लेते हैं उसको बस रिड्यूस कर रहा है, राइट, बट दैट मेडिसिन इज नॉट वर्किंग। एनीवे, दिस चिकन पॉक्स के लिए या फिर कॉमन कोल्ड हो, किसी के लिए भी हम लोग कोई मेडिसिन नहीं लेते हैं, व्हाट हैपेंस, आवर बॉडी विल बी डेवलपिंग सर्टेन इम्यूनिटी एंड ऑटोमेटिकली वी गेट ट्रीटेड, ऑटोमेटिकली वी गेट ट्रीटेड, राइट। सो हाउ वी गेट ट्रीटेड? ऑटोमेटिकली अपना ट्रीटमेंट हुआ, ऑटोमेटिकली अपना ट्रीटमेंट हुआ, ऑटोमेटिकली वी गेट ट्रीटेड, राइट, वी गेट ट्रीटेड ऑटोमेटिकली। इज दैट क्लियर टू एवरीवन? राइट, ग्रेट। वेल, सो इन दिस केस व्हाट हैपेंस, our body is developing some immunity and that immunity is helping us to get rid of this particular disease. Okay, Darshan, great. Darshan from YouTube. Okay, so in this case our body is developing some immunity and that immunity is helping us to get rid from this particular disease. So body is preparing antibody against the disease, that is active immunity. In the second case, that is passive. Passive means we are given prepared antibody. Suppose, for example, let us take an example. Suppose a snake will come and bite me. अभी यहाँ पे आकर के snake ने bite कर दिया, snake bite हुआ, right? So snake bite होने से shall I wait for my body to prepare antibody? Exactly, got it now this. So अभी क्या हो गया, मुझे snake bite हुआ, shall I or will you allow me to wait for my body to prepare antibody? No, not exactly. We cannot wait for our body to prepare antibody against snake bite or snake venom. Snake bite से क्या प्रोड्यूस होगा? snake venom होगा, और उसी snake venom से बचने के लिए मेरा बॉडी एंटीबॉडी प्रिपेयर करेगा. My body is going to prepare antibody against its snake venom also. But if I wait for my body to prepare antibody against the snake venom, then antibody बनने से पहले ही मेरा डेथ हो जाएगा. एंटीबॉडी बनने से पहले ही मेरा डेथ हो जाएगा. Before my body should prepare antibody against the snake venom, there is a chance of my death. So in that case, what happens? When snake bite happens, the patient is given prepared antibody, that is your snake anti-venom. क्या दिया जाता है? Snake anti-venom दिया जाता है. The patient is given snake anti-venom. क्या दिया जाता है? Patient को दिया जाता है snake anti-venom. So in that snake anti-venom or anti-snake venom उसको बोल सकते हैं, snake anti-venom or anti-snake venom, in that snake anti-venom prepared antibody will be there. Prepared antibody होगा वहाँ पे. Is that clear to everybody? Prepared antibody होगा, right? That's it. Prepared antibody होगा. Okay. And now we can get treated. Well, we'll be talking about all these artificial, natural, separately in the next slide. So active immunity again can be active immunity again can be of two types, natural and artificial. Passive immunity again can be of two types. That is your that is your natural and artificial once again. Well, I'm moving to the next slide, and in the next slide I'll be talking about that one. Okay, ठीक है? Great guys. Take a screenshot of this one, or if you want you can like note the things. नोट बना लो अगर बनाना है तो, फिर मैं आगे बढ़ता हूँ। ओनली दो चीज लिखो, एक्टिव मतलब अपना बॉडी खुद प्रिपेयर करेगा एंटीबॉडी को, एंड पैसिव मतलब देयर विल बी प्रिपेयर्ड एंटीबॉडी व्हिच विल बी गिवन टू आवर बॉडी। नाउ आई एम मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। इन द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट द एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी के बारे में ही बात करेंगे यहाँ पे। दैट इज नेचुरल एंड नेक्स्ट वन इज योर आर्टिफिशियल एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी। बताया मैंने क्या कि जो एक्टिव इम्यूनिटी होता है इट वर्क what it developed to certain infection or vaccination. It is developed by our own body. खुद का body develop करेगा. It is developed by our own body. It can be natural or artificial. Natural means when we come in contact with the pathogen unknowingly, at that time what happens? Antibody is developed by our body, and that is called as your natural active immunity. In this case what happens? अननोइंगली हम लोग कांटेक्ट में आते हैं, अननोइंगली रेड में ही लिखता हूं, अननोइंगली हम लोग कांटेक्ट में आते हैं, राइट? किसकी कांटेक्ट में? पैथोजन के कांटेक्ट में आते हैं अननोइंगली, एंड देन आवर बॉडी स्टार्ट डेवलपिंग एंटीबॉडी अगेंस्ट द पैथोजन। दैट इज योर नेचुरल। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर एग्जाम्पल के हिसाब से देखें, सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हाट हैपेंस, चिकन पॉक्स वायरस is there, and this chicken pox virus will enter into our body unknowingly. Like we are not going to take that chicken pox virus knowingly, and we are not going to enter that chicken pox virus into our body knowingly. We are not doing that, right? That happens unknowingly, without our knowledge. That chicken pox virus will enter into the body. Now what happens? Our body or we will be affected by the chicken pox. Chicken pox से हम लोग affected रहेंगे. Even though we are given any medicine or anything, we are not getting treated. What will do? This body will develop some antibody. ये body क्या करेगा? अपना body एंटीबॉडी डेवलप करेगा, इम्यूनिटी सिस्टम जो होगा एंटीबॉडी डेवलप करेगा, which fight against the chickenpox virus, right? And will get treated. That is your natural type of. Now what happened? It is naturally happening. The chickenpox virus or any pathogen is entering into our body naturally. There is no involvement of human. That is naturally happening. Next one is your artificial active immunity. In artificial active immunity, what happens? Here, the pathogen will be given, or pathogen will be entered into our body, or will be given in our body knowingly. Pathogen will be given or entered into our body knowingly, जानबूझ के, will be given in our body knowingly, means in the form of vaccine. So वो जो वैक्सीन होता है ना, जो भी वैक्सीन हम लोग लेते हैं वो पैथोजन होता है, बट दैट इज नॉट द एक्टिव पैथोजन। वैक्सीन के अंदर क्या होता है? इनएक्टिवेटेड और वीकेंड पैथोजन होते हैं। इनएक्टिवेटेड और वीकेंड और वीक पैथोजन को क्या किया जाता है? अपने बॉडी के अंदर वीक और इनएक्टिवेटेड पैथोजन को इंसर्ट किया जाता है, अपने बॉडी के अंदर इंसर्ट किया जाता है इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वैक्सीन। कौन सा फॉर्म में? वैक्सीन के फॉर्म में, वैक्सीन के हिसाब से इसको अपने बॉडी में इंसर्ट किया जाता है, राइट? सो व्हाट वी हैव डन हियर, वी हैव इंसर्टेड द पैथोजन knowingly with our will. Now what it will do, our body will come in contact with the inactivated pathogen. This inactivated pathogen don't have that much power to affect our body, or we can say infect our body, right? ये पैथोजन के पास उतना पावर नहीं होगी अपने बॉडी को इन्फेक्ट कर सके, बट ऑल्दो इट इज इनएक्टिवेटेड, बट that is a foreign particle. So what will happen now? Our body will identify that inactivated foreign pathogen, and the body will develop certain antigen against the inactivated pathogen. Antigen develop किया, along with that it also antigen produce करने के साथ साथ it also store memory against the pathogen. Memory बना लिया किसके अगेंस्ट? पैथोजन के अगेंस्ट. नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? मेमोरी बन गया, इम्यूनिटी डेवलप कर गया उसके अगेंस्ट. मेमोरी बना मतलब क्या? इम्यूनिटी डेवलप किया. नाउ इफ पैथोजन इज एंटरिंग इनटू आवर बॉडी वंस अगेन, देन व्हाट विल हैपन? अगर पैथोजन और एक बार एंटर करेगा, नाउ इफ देन पैथोजन इज एंटरिंग, एक्टिवेटेड पैथोजन और रियल पैथोजन इज एंटरिंग इनटू आवर बॉडी, वी हैव ए मेमोरी अगेंस्ट दैट पैथोजन नाउ, राइट? So our body will directly start fighting against the pathogen. उस pathogen के against वो fighting करना शुरू कर देगा, right? So what we did here, we artificially inserted the pathogen, and that pathogen, against that pathogen, our body started developing antigen, as well as it also saved or created some memory against that pathogen. When for the second time the infection happens, or we can say when the real pathogen tried to enter into our body, at that time our body had some memory against that pathogen. Now that memory can be used to weaken that pathogen or kill that pathogen. That's it. So in both cases, artificially and natural cases, दोनों cases में immunity is developed by our body itself. अपना body ही immunity develop कर रहा है. In natural, pathogen is entering in our body naturally, but in artificial condition, pathogen is given or inserted in our body, artificially, that is artificial, right? I hope this is clear to everybody. Exactly, Nandis, exactly. Snake antivenom is we'll talk about that one. Darwad, JNB Darwad वाले जो बच्चे, we'll be talking about that one. वो नेचुरल होता है, आर्टिफिशियल होता है, उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. Exactly, snake antivenom will be artificial only. ठीक है? In the next slide I'll be talking about that. आया समझ में सबको? ठीक है? If you got the point, समझ आ गया सारा चीज, तो now take a screenshot of this one और नोट बना लो इसका, then click on yes option. JNB Ballari, students from JNB Ballari, join your audio. You are not joined from your audio. Okay, shall I go to the next slide? Akshita, JNB Darwad, Lisa, Nandis, and JNB Ballari. Shall I move to the next slide? Great. What about Darwad people? Okay, Darwad वालों ने तो चैट बॉक्स में बताया, नंदिस ने भी बता दिया. Okay, sorry, नंदिस ने बताया. Great. Lisa, shall I move to the next slide? Okay, fine. Okay, I'm moving to the next slide now. And in the next slide, we'll be talking about the passive immunity. अब यहाँ पे हम लोग बात करेंगे passive immunity के बारे में. Now we'll be talking about the passive immunity. That जो भी डाउट था दरवाड़ वालों का, वो यहाँ पे क्लियर हो जाए. Well, I told you that passive immunity, it will be the immunity which is developed outside and will be given in our body. So developed or prepared antibody will be given in our body. That is passive immunity. Prepared antibody will be given in the body. Right? So now we'll be talking about, this can be again of two type. ये फिर दो तरीके के होते हैं. ये फिर कितने तरीके के होते हैं? दो तरीके के होते हैं. ओके, ये फिर दो तरीके के होते हैं. Well, so it can be of two type now. How? It can be natural or artificial. Prepared antibody. What happens? Some prepared antibody that travel from mother body to the fetus. वो prepared है, but वो natural है. समझ आया? वो प्रिपेयर्ड है एंड वो नेचुरल है. मदर बॉडी से कौन कौन सा एंटीबॉडी ट्रैवल करता है? कैन एनीबॉडी आंसर मी इन द चैट बॉक्स? व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट एंटीबॉडी दैट ट्रैवल फ्रॉम मदर बॉडी टू द फीटस एंड द किड? जो बच्चा है उसके अंदर एंड फीटस के अंदर एंटीबॉडी ट्रैवल करते हैं मदर्स बॉडी से. दैट इज प्रिपेयर्ड एंटीबॉडी ओनली. कैन एनीबॉडी टेल मी और कैन एनीबॉडी आंसर मी इन द चैट बॉक्स? Perfect, Nandis. Very good. What about remaining people? Exactly, Nandis. Exactly. No, not IgM. IgM in a very little amount, but दो mainly रहते हैं. एक होता है अपना जो मैंने पहले क्लास में भी बताया था, that is IgG, okay, which travel through placenta. IgG travel through placenta and IgA travel through or pass through exactly milk. मिल्क से होकर के ये पास करता है. It travel through milk. Okay, so G will be passing through placenta, that is GP, GP for gram panchayat, and A will be passing through milk, AFM. In this way you can like recall this one, GP and AM. ठीक है. G will be passing through placenta, A will be passing through mother's milk. कोलेस्ट्रॉम में होगा वो येलो कलर मटेरियल. एग्जैक्टली. नेक्स्ट वन इज योर आर्टिफिशियल पैसिव इम्यूनिटी. Next one is your artificial passive immunity. If you are talking about artificial passive immunity, what happens in artificial passive immunity? Prepared antibody will be there and it will be given in our body. That is your snake antivenom. It will come under this snake antivenom, right? Snake antivenom are of different, इनका अलग अलग होता है, क्वांटिटी अलग होता है, क्वालिटी अलग होता है, डिफरेंट डोजेस अलग होता है. Different doses are given. Different doses are given. Okay, if somebody is like किसी को स्नेक बाइट हुआ है और वो स्नेक बाइट कोई बहुत ही ज्यादा वेनमस स्नेक ने किया है, so in that case we can give more doses to that patient. Okay, if some कोई भी पेशेंट है, एनी पेशेंट, उसको स्नेक बाइट हुआ है एंड वो किंग कोबरा का है, तो उसके लिए कोई स्नेक एंटीवेनम नहीं है अपने पास. King cobra don't have any snake, like for this king cobra bite we don't have any kind of snake antivenom. एक्टिव आर्टिफिशियल इम्यूनिटी एंड पैसिव आर्टिफिशियल इम्यूनिटी में डिफरेंस क्या है? एक्टिव आर्टिफिशियल, पैसिव आर्टिफिशियल, वेरी वेरी फाइन डिफरेंस. एक्टिव आर्टिफिशियल इम्यूनिटी में क्या होता है? इन एक्टिव आर्टिफिशियल इम्यूनिटी we are providing the pathogen from outside and our body is developing the antibody against that. Okay, great Darshan from YouTube. Okay, so in active artificial immunity our body is developing the antibody against the antigen, but antigen is given knowingly. Okay, here in passive artificial immunity already prepared antibody are given in our body. In first case active mein antigen is given, but in passive antibody will be given in our body. That is the difference. Okay, I hope this is clear to you now. Clear on this? I'm moving to the next slide. Well, I hope you have noted everything. If you have not noted, just let me know. हाँ, ये हो गया पूरा ना. Now here is a question for you people. Question will be is like vaccine comes under which immunity? Option A active immunity, option B passive immunity, option C innate immunity, option D microbial immunity. I'm launching poll for the question and I hope you can answer to the question now. I got many answer here. Great, great. Exactly, Nandis. Exactly. Very good, Darshan. Very good, Nandis. I want the rest of the people to respond to the particular question. Exactly. Very good, Darshan from YouTube. Okay, 66% people have chosen their answer. 40 seconds. Very good, Janvi Darwar. 45 seconds gone. Last 15 seconds remaining. Last 15 seconds remaining. Okay. Well, I'm ending the poll now, sharing the result with the people. And the result is like everyone have chosen option A, option B, C, and D is not chosen by anyone. Let me stop sharing, then I'll explain it to you. Vaccine, in this vaccine, antigen will be there. And the antigen is either killed or weakened. Right? Weakened. Or we can say attenuated. Attenuated matlab weak. Okay. That particular antigen will be given in the body. Will be inserted in the body, and the body will be developing antibody against this. ठीक है. And अगर body antibody develop करता है खुद से तो वो बन जाता है अपना active immunity. So option A will be the correct answer. पैसिव के लिए प्रिपेयर्ड एंटीबॉडी दिया जाता है. इनएट अलग होता है, अपने बॉडी में होता है. माइक्रोबियल इम्यूनिटी दैट इज नथिंग लाइक दैट, कुछ नहीं होता वैसे. ओके, आई एम मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. नेक्स्ट इज योर वैक्सीन एंड वैक्सीनेशन. Vaccination is injecting vaccine. Vaccination is the process of providing vaccine or injecting vaccine into the body, or enhancing the immune system or immune power by injecting vaccine is called a vaccination. Well, so vaccine, what is a vaccine? Vaccine are prepared weak, killed or attenuated antigen. Attenuated का मतलब होता है weak और loose. Attenuated का मतलब होता है weak और loose. Right? Okay? 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 Injecting vaccine to enhance immunity is called your vaccination, as I told you. Vaccination is nothing but injection or injecting vaccine to increase the immune power or immunity. That is called your vaccination. Right? I'm moving to the next slide now. Next, in that next slide, we'll be talking about different types of vaccine. First generation of vaccine, second generation of vaccine, and third generation of vaccine. Okay, first generation of vaccine, second generation of vaccine, third generation of vaccine. यहाँ से question बराबर पूछ लिया जाता है in general. If you are talking about first generation of vaccine, first generation vaccine are having high risk. इनका रिस्क ज्यादा होता है, साइड इफेक्ट ज्यादा होता है, रिस्क और साइड इफेक्ट ज्यादा होता है. Why? Because in first generation of vaccine, initially this vaccine were prepared, and in this vaccine, what happened is like, in this vaccine, direct, instead of antigen, pathogen were given directly, right? And the pathogen were either killed or probably they were weakened. Okay, weakened pathogen, right? Or we can say attenuated pathogen, attenuated pathogens. So as they are the weaker or attenuated pathogen, there is a chance that out of 100 pathogen which are weakened and given as a vaccine, there is a chance, we cannot say कि ऐसा होगा, but there is a chance that 1 or 0.1% of pathogen जो है वो वापस एक्टिव हो सकते हैं. They can reactive होने का chances है. There is a chance of getting reactivated, right? And if they get reactivated in our body, then there is a higher chance or a high risk of getting diseased. There is a high risk or high chance of getting diseased. Is that clear to everybody? So this is first generation of vaccine where we have high risk. ये फर्स्ट जनरेशन ऑफ वैक्सीन है जहां पे हमको बहुत ज्यादा रिस्क होता है. Okay, next will be your second generation of vaccine. Next is your second generation of vaccine, and the second generation of vaccine explains that in this case what happens, the weakened pathogen are not given. Instead of pathogen, yes, I got a doubt here. Intermediate risk will be there. There will be intermediate risk. Intermediate risk. Why? Because instead of giving pathogen or instead of inserting pathogen into the body, what they do, they just isolated the scientists, they isolated the antigen, जो disease causing particles है, antigen को उन्होंने isolate किया, and then this antigen got like इसको weaken करा दिया और attenuated करा दिया, right? And after that it is given to the body, body के अंदर फिर डाला गया. So there is a less chance of this particular thing. Culture किया गया इसको, exactly, that is also okay. And next one is your third generation of vaccine. Third generation of vaccine in general don't have any risk, no risk. It don't have any risk. इसका कोई risk नहीं है. No risk. Why? Because these are also called as DNA vaccine. इनको DNA vaccine और recombinant vaccine भी कहा जाता है. Recombinant vaccine भी इनको कहा जाता है. Why? What happens in third generation of vaccine? इसमें रिस्क कम होता है, recombinant vaccine होता है. ये कैसे बनता है मैं बताऊंगा कमिंग स्लाइड्स में. जब हम लोग थर्ड जनरेशन में पढ़ेंगे तो वहां पे बताऊंगा मैं ये कमिंग स्लाइड्स में. This third generation of vaccine, that is your recombinant vaccine और DNA vaccine, तब समझ आएगा जब तुम rDNA टेक्नोलॉजी समझे हो. If you know what is rDNA technology, then you can easily understand this one. Okay, I hope the three generation or three types of vaccine is clear to everybody now. If it is done, then click on yes option. I'll move to the next slide so that I can move to the next slide, or you can reply me in the chat box also, no problem. Okay, I'm moving to the next slide now. Okay, this is your first generation of vaccine. Covishield and Covaxin, that is your second generation. Second generation of vaccine. Okay, Covishield and Covaxin are second generation of vaccine. Well, now let us talk about the first generation vaccine once again. You can see here. Okay, first generation of vaccine or vaccine for the first time was invented by Edward Jenner, and it was invented accidentally. एडवर्ड जेनर है जिन्होंने की वैक्सीन को पहली बार बनाया था, एंड इट वाज इन्वेंटेड एक्सीडेंटली. It was invented accidentally, right? Okay, so Edward Jenner invented vaccine for the first time. He invented this one accidentally from the cowpox disease. Cowpox disease से उन्होंने इन्वेंट किया था इसको, cowpox के लिए. Well, so first generation of vaccine के बारे में बात करें, these are prepared inactivated pathogen. There is a high risk. साइड इफेक्ट है इसका, हैव साइड इफेक्ट और हाई रिस्क है इसमें. ओके, दो तरीके के बताया गया है इसके अंदर, दो तरीके के, दैट इज एटेन्यूएटेड एंड किल्ड. किल्ड मींस कंप्लीटली किल्ड एंड एटेन्यूएटेड मींस वीक बनाया गया होगा उसको. ओपीवी, बीसीजी, स्मॉल पॉक्स एंड इन्फ्लुएंजा आर एटेन्यूएटेड. टाइफाइड, सल्फ, पोलियो, cholera, rabies and plagues have killed pathogen. Okay, take a screenshot, then I'll go to the next slide. जल्दी से स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो, फिर आगे बढ़ता हूं मैं. नेक्स्ट इज योर सेकेंड जनरेशन ऑफ वैक्सीन, एंड सेकेंड जनरेशन ऑफ वैक्सीन में अगर मैं बात करूं तो ये देख लो, दिस इज योर सेकेंड जनरेशन ऑफ वैक्सीन. Okay, this is your second generation of vaccine. Is that clear to everybody? Vaccine with no or very less side effect. तो ऑक्सफोर्ड वैक्सीन होता है, अलग अलग वैक्सीन होता है. सेकेंड जनरेशन ऑफ वैक्सीन, हाँ, लाइक एज आई टोल्ड यू, लाइक एंटीजन इसमें लिया जाता है, एंटीजन लिया जाता है. ओके, ग्रेट. वेल, आई एम गोइंग बैक टू द प्रीवियस स्लाइड बिकॉज पीपल्स आर हैविंग डाउट. People are having doubt or like they want to note this particular slide. Okay, note बना लो इसका. Great. I am moving to the next slide now. Third generation में आ जाते हैं वापस. Now we'll focus on the third generation of vaccine. Okay, the third generation of vaccine are also called as DNA vaccine. They are also called as DNA vaccine. ये कैसे बनता है? If you recall or if you remember about the rDNA technology, third generation of vaccine or DNA vaccine is that what happened? Like human DNA will be extracted, and in that human DNA, or simply leave this one. Just consider this one कि ऐसा क्या किया जाएगा? A particular प्लांट और एनीथिंग, प्लांट सेल और एनीथिंग, प्लांट सेल को एक्सट्रैक्ट किया गया, ठीक है, और इन दैट प्लांट सेल डीएनए को एक्सट्रैक्ट किया गया, और डीएनए के अंदर डी 1 सेकेंड, हाँ PBR22 वो अलग चीज है. प्लाज्मिड को लिया गया और प्लाज्मिड के अंदर क्या किया गया, प्लांट सेल का extremely sorry, not like that. Well, what it will do, what we will do here, 1 second. Okay, when you are talking about this particular thing, you can see here what is happening here. I have already mentioned this one here. Okay, so the path is like antigen जो भी होगा, okay, उस एंटीजन को लेकर के एंटीबॉडी प्रोड्यूस किया जाएगा इन द ह्यूमन बॉडी और ह्यूमन सेल से, राइट? इज दैट क्लियर टू एवरीवन? ओके, आई एम लाइक रीमेंशनिंग दैट वन. यहाँ पे इसको हटा करके मैं रीमेंशन करता हूँ, फिर समझ आएगा. व्हाट इज डन इज antigen is there, antigen is there, right? And in this antigen, this antigen will be given to the human cell. Human cell को दिया जाएगा, right? Now the human will be starting preparing antibody against it. इसके अगेंस्ट प्रिपेयर करेगा एंटीबॉडी, right? So antibody is a immunoglobulin. Antibody is a immunoglobulin, right? So it is a immunoglobulin. So it must have been prepared from a particular type of DNA sequence that is present in our body. It is a immunoglobulin and it must have been prepared from a particular type of DNA sequence that is present in the human body. That DNA will be extracted. That DNA will be extracted and will be, that segment of DNA will be extracted and will be inserted into, extract करने के बाद उसको insert किया जाएगा, will be inserted into the plasmid. ये प्लाज्मिड है, प्लाज्मिड के अंदर उस डीएनए को इंसर्ट किया गया. The DNA was inserted here. डीएनए को इंसर्ट किया गया. Now this plasmid have the insert which can synthesize or which can, like, 1 second, this plasmid have the insert which can synthesize that particular antibody, which have the capability to synthesize the antibody now, right? What it will do, it will synthesize antibody. ये antibody को synthesize करेगा. Is that clear to everybody? आया समझ में सबको? राइट, I'll go to the previous slide. GNB Darwad, please wait. Okay, so the synthesized, it has the ability to synthesize antibody now. But what we will do, we will insert this particular plasmid into a plant. Suppose banana plant के अंदर insert किया, banana plant के अंदर insert किया. This banana plant now can produce the antibody. बनाना प्लांट अभी क्या कर सकता है? एंटीबॉडी प्रोड्यूस कर सकता है, क्योंकि ये जीन उसमें प्रेजेंट है ना. तो ये जीन, दिस पर्टिकुलर जीन हैव द कैपेबिलिटी टू प्रोड्यूस एंटीबॉडी. एंटीबॉडी विल बी प्रोड्यूस्ड इन द बनाना प्लांट एंड बनाना के अंदर वो एंटीबॉडी होगा. राइट, बनाना will have content of or contain antibody. That antibody, it will be taken by the human. अगर इसको ह्यूमन लेता है, it will be taken by human, then human will indirectly taking the antibody instead of taking the antigen. Now what we are doing, we are taking the antibody. हम लोग एंटीबॉडी ले रहे हैं लेकिन अलग तरीके से. We are taking the antibody but in different way. Nandis, you have raised your. No, there won't be anything like graft rejection or anything. Although graft rejection will be there, no issue in that, but graft rejection will be something different. Graft rejection is what? A part will be rejected, other foreign part will be rejected. But here what we are doing, we are inserting the DNA into. Here what we are doing, we are inserting the DNA into the banana. Okay, so this is what going to happen. This is your third generation of vaccine, right? So I hope you understand the concept. Take a screenshot of this one, then I'll go to the next slide. Thank you. Take a screenshot of this particular slide. Okay, we'll be talking about the other things in the next class. For today, this much only, guys. Well, I'm launching teacher NPS poll. Then we'll be ending the class. Thank you so much.